of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Brian.
Here.
Here. Scott.
Here.
Jerry's here. Need a motion and a second to amend the agenda and remove 6.12, 6.13, 6.14 front of the business and finance.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Two acknowledgements.
Okay, this last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and we did a few things throughout the week, and a lot of people in the community brought things for our staff. You know, we have a great staff. They work really hard, and you know, it's a week that I really enjoy. But the teachers work hard all year long, so really if we could have Teacher Appreciation Week, all year long, I'm sure a lot of schools would say that because of the treats, of course. No, I'm just kidding. So it was a good week, and I just want to acknowledge the staff here at the Faulkner Area School District, all the colony teachers, the teachers here in town, the custodians, the cooks, the bus drivers, everybody. We couldn't be doing what we're doing and doing it to the quality.
3.1, conflict of interest waivers. None. 4.1, open forum time.
I have a few things to say, however, and criticisms about the way the race was run. In response to your ad in the Faulkner paper, I have a few concerns. You wrote in there, a successful school district is the heartbeat of our community. We all pay taxes, we all have a vested interest in our school. We all deserve and need representation on the school board table. I do believe, however, that our school and our children are the heartbeat of our community. Our children need us as parents, teachers, and leaders in the district to weigh all options, what is right for our school, and foremost, what is right for our kids. I am very truly concerned that what is currently being planned for the school and potentially will potentially cause disruption to our educational system for our children for the next 1 to 2 years. Our school is one of the top ACT scoring schools in the state, and I would hate to see these things change because of the upcoming project. There are different approaches to improving our facilities that will not adversely affect the education of our children. I'm greatly concerned that these other possible options have not been taken into consideration. You stated that we all deserve and need representation on the board, but the problem that you bring to the board is that you are the only one interested in what matters in your personal point of view, and representing that view as the way it will, only way to go.
20 seconds, yes.
You have demonstrated this time and time again. Scott, BJ, and yourself having law, open meeting law.
Tim, that's
You have
2 minutes. We'll let you know.
May I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. When it came to the ideas of teachers, community members, and other members of the building committee, you would look at these ideas and recommendations if they fell within the line that you thought they should go, and if they didn't, you rejected them. When I put in my petition for the board, I can honestly say that I had an agenda coming forward to the board. And that was a threefold agenda. Number one, for the children and their education, for we as parents owe our children the best education that we can give them to prepare for the best chance for our children's future. And 3, to use the knowledge, common sense, and conservatism that formulate the best cost-effective facilities that will also be would directly consider with numbers 1 and 2 before any decision to spend money is made. We need facilities that will be great now and 50 years from now. With you, however, it seems to be very clear from what I've seen that from the beginning of the time you ran, your primary goal when you ran the first time was, I will not raise your taxes, as your pledge for your first term. And when you finally realized that our 80-plus-year-old facilities desperately needed a replacement, you formulated a cost-effective and, as some people might say, the cheapest option to replace the school. And from the very first drawings that the public saw, the facilities that you proposed were too small to provide adequate education that is needed to our children. And then as soon as the bond issue was passed, the drawings which were sold to the public as far as a vision for the school was put in the trash can directly thereafter. Because what was shown to the public when that bond issue was brought forward was going to cost about $14 million range to facilitate that building. But of course, you were not honest with the public on that issue. Now your goal for the second term is to complete your vision of the school, which would probably, sadly, we will have to live with for many years. I cannot understand why you feel it is so necessary or prudent to put $2 million into the old elementary, which is crumbling and has cracked walls, a foundation that is settling, and even if you put money into it, we're most likely going to have to replace it in the near future anyway. The next thing you made one comment you made in the other comment made in the paper, you said, may not always tell you what you want to hear, but I'll always tell you the truth. The last part of that statement is a joke to me. I'm actually not even sure if you know what the truth is. According to you, I had planned to scrap the entire building project, and you were going around telling people, anybody that would listen, that if I was voted in, I was going to be building a $23 million school. So, sad to learn, there were actually people out there that believed your lies. I'm very curious how this information about me, or where you could have possibly heard that from, because for the most part, I've never your personal attacks on me and my reputation. As a PEA, as a member of a major in the Army National Guard, my reputation and being honest, truthful, and totally trustworthy is my life and my livelihood. When you slander me and put my reputation in that respect, you're making attacks on me and my ability to provide for myself and my family. That's not fair to me. It's not fair to this community.
Okay, I guess in one response, I'm going to defend myself. I'm not aware of any illegal meetings we had. If there's evidence out there, I guess there's an open meetings commission. I can go to them, but just not open. That's an accusation I'm going to deny there. We've never had any illegal meetings. So, anybody else? Comment?
I want to talk for a minute. You know, I follow all this stuff. I've lived here my whole life except for 4 years. And this local election has been just like the national election. Just exactly like it. The people that lose can't take it, and they want to do anything they can to stop it. Now there's been 2 elections where the people have spoke. And it wasn't that close when you get right down to this last election, where the people have spoke and said that this is what they want. You had a commission of people that was on the building committee that all supposedly agreed. And you talk about talking behind people's backs. Well, there was rumors coming out of that deal like you couldn't believe. But everybody was supposed to be on board with that. It was said by Gloria Bodie. She made a good comment at a public meeting, which I was very proud she said, it isn't what I'd like, but we came to the conclusion that this is all we're going to get, and if we wait, we'll spend more. That ain't a quote, that's damn close. So when you lose an election, it's kind of like Trump won, but people want to still take him out. These guys won the election fair and square. So what the hell is going on with you, Quinn? Just answer that. What's your idea for the school? And since you say that he's been lying about you, I want to know what your idea would have been for a school. And this deal about our kids, I went to kindergarten in the Methodist church, or first grade, I can't really remember, when this school was being built that we're about to remodel. And I don't think it screwed up my education at all, but it could have. But I had a flying career for 25 years, so I don't think too much screwed me up by moving kids around a little bit. I'm done before I get into trouble.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to the consensus agenda. Need a motion and a second for the consensus agenda consisting of 5.1 minutes from the April 15th regular meeting, 5.2 minutes from the April 22nd special meeting, 5.3 the financial report in April, 5.4 the minutes from May 3rd special meeting, 5.5 trust and agency report in April, 5.6 impress report in April, 5.7 presented bills in May.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Business and finance, 6.12, approved hiring additional kindergarten teacher.
Okay, I will start on this one. We just recently had our kindergarten screening, and we have come to the realization that we are going to have 30 kindergartners next year. And we really don't feel like we can put 30 kindergartners in one room all together. We have 24 in there right now, and I was at the kindergarten program today, and they were lined up across the community center. They just went on forever. I mean, the line went all the way across the community center. So I am asking the board to approve hiring an additional kindergarten teacher so we can split that class up into 2 sections. So right now it would stand at 15 and 15. We would continue to have a paraprofessional in the current kindergarten room, and that wouldn't change. And so, yeah, 30 kids. I'd like to hire another kindergarten teacher. And just so the board knows, Mallory's here. We have 6 kids that are in junior kindergarten next year and 22 preschool kids, so 28 kids coming up the year after that. So I think that's a good problem to have. It looks like our numbers are going to be strong for the next couple of years. But I know right now, and Alicia's here if the board would like to have her talk about her current class. 24 kids has been a handful and a challenge. I can't imagine putting 6 more kids in that room physically. We've thought about let's just hire another paraprofessional, but now you add 6 more kids and you add 1 more adult in the room, plus 6 desks and all that other stuff. So there aren't enough room, for their cubbies, their coats right now the way it is. So I'm asking the board to approve hiring an additional kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, I guess, as we chatted this morning, would the applicants would they be told it might be temporary for a couple of years or full-time?
That's tricky, because I think if we say that, I don't think we'd get very good applicants for it if it was temporary. And I don't know how temporary, I mean, I can see it really being at least a 3-year position. And then, I would like that, I'd like to keep those sections small through early elementary. And so, I can see us having this position for at least 3 years, if not more. And keep in mind, if we ever would happen to hit some financial issues, that person would be the first one that would be ripped, and we just would have to figure it out. But I can't see us having a class of 30 kids, especially the kindergarten class. I think it'd be really tough.
So you think you're just gonna split it for 3 years and maybe in one classroom? and then-
Well, we'd have to see how we go.
Yeah, for the
It would
first,
depend.
when first grade comes, then we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you'll see we're gonna ask for something additional here too for the first grade class to follow.
Open enrolling, but to another district, but hasn't made a complete decision. And the other one has been suggested to redo kindergarten again, to retain that child, and a decision has not been made on that either, so it could be 32.
Anybody else?
It's a good problem to have. I think it really is a good problem.
I'll ask for a motion to hire an additional kindergarten teacher.
We'll make that motion.
Alicia can back me up on this, that they're quite a group of young children. And so what I'm asking is the board approve hiring a first grade paraprofessional to be with those students as well. And now just to kind of let the board know, one of our paraprofessionals is currently with Alicia. We are going to move her, the way she's paid, to special ed, so she'll become a special ed para next year, still working with Alicia. And so really we're shifting some money, and so this paraprofessional will be paid out of the general fund like our current para is paid now, so it will not be any additional impact on our general fund. We'll switch one of them to a special ed aid, and this one will be a regular ed aid in the first grade. So it'll help with our finances, so I'm asking that we approve a paraprofessional for the first grade.
Maybe that should be the motion, just adding a paraprofessional to the fall two location.
Perfect.
Let's not name it, just in case it ends up not being sped or we switch people around.
Need a motion to approve hiring a paraprofessional.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, this one would all be under special education as well, but what we're doing later on our agenda, we're gonna approve a resignation of one of our paraprofessionals that is currently out there. She typically gets about 20 hours a week. Michelle, if I'm wrong here, just throw something at me. She typically gets 20 hours a week. Right now, out at Thunderbird, they do have some ladies that are members of the colony that are at the school pretty much on a full-time basis that help out. They help Bryce and they help on a day-to-day basis. We have reached out, instead of opening it up and trying to hire somebody since they're every day, we have reached out to the colony's leadership to see if we would be able to hire those two ladies to work at the school. And we would actually pay the colony to employ those two ladies. And they have agreed to do that. But by doing that, I'm asking that we add about 10 hours additional per week. So each of them would get about 15 hours for a total of 30 instead of 20. And again, that would come out of Michelle's special education budget. So I'm just asking that you approve that, just so you're aware that that's what we'd like to do. And they're great ladies. They work really hard out there, and I mean, they sub when the teachers are gone, so I have no problem with it whatsoever.
And we actually have two resignations that we're doing.
Yes,
One
we do.
at the colonies, and that person will also be replaced. But the reason this one is on here is because we're adding about 10 hours to this position. at Thunderbird.
Need a motion and a second to add additional hours to the Thunderbird paraprofessional.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.1, 2019-2020 school calendar.
This one's been real fun for the last couple months, right, Craig?
Yeah.
There's one option in front of you, and I'll go over some of the details so the public can kind of see what we're doing. The first thing that I want to draw everybody's attention to is the top of the calendar. We are changing the schedule for everybody. We're going to start school at 8:30, and everybody's going to be done at 3:30. So everybody's at 8:30, everybody's done at 3:30. That actually added quite a few days and hours onto our total calendar. And so with that being said, because of the construction that's going to happen this summer and continue all through the year and into next summer, we are starting a little bit later, but if we have snow days, because we have this extra time, we're not making up snow days. We're not making up any extra days that we take off because we can't. We're boxed in on the back end because of construction. They need us out. And so what you'll see in the calendar, in August there's 2 in-service days. We typically go to Northern State University. They have a regional in-service that we go to. And there's another one on the 29th, which is before Labor Day, which we will do some fun activities, get-to-know activities, get in your classroom type things. School will officially start on the 3rd of September, which is a couple weeks later than we normally start. We have a lot of federal holidays off. We will have Native American Day off, we'll have an in-service in there, we'll squeeze a parent-teacher conference in there. The semester will end after Christmas, which is different, we've not done that for a while. But we felt that by starting late, we needed to kind of move the semester around as well. We will have 2 weeks off at Christmas break again. We'll have an elongated Thanksgiving break. And then when we keep rolling through the schedule, we're gonna have conferences in February on a Friday. That's because February is just insane with activities. And really, there were 2 actual open nights, Monday the 3rd, Friday the 21st, and then all the Wednesdays. But because of our community with religious education, we stay off of Wednesdays for the most part, so we didn't schedule one there, so it is on Friday. We probably will have an early dismissal on that day to give the teachers a little bit of a break before we start into our conferences. And if you see on here the next couple things, on the 28th of February, March 6th, and March 13th, those are all state tournament days. Wrestling's on the 28th, girls basketball is on the 6th, boys basketball state tournament is on the 13th. So we decided, instead of trying to alternate every year, and we get it wrong one year, let's say it's on the girls and the boys make it, we'll probably end up taking that tournament off as well, so we'll end up having 4 days off. So spring break is gonna be a hodgepodge of 3-day weekends, but that way we do have people that do like to attend those events even if we're not part of it. So we're hoping that that will help with some of our attendance on those days. We've got Good Friday scheduled off, we have Easter Monday scheduled off. Graduation will be on the 16th on a Saturday, and school will officially be done on the 22nd of May. And I really can't go any further past the 22nd. So that's why we would not make up any days. And that equals out the semesters. First semester is roughly 85 days, second semester is 83 by having it end after Christmas break. So that is the calendar. I did send it to the Faulkton Education Association, and they had some changes for me, some suggested changes, and all those changes were reflected on this calendar. So I don't think that they expect anything to change from what I gave them here earlier last week. So I'm asking that you approve the 2019-2020 calendar.
Mr. Lucky?
Yes, sir.
One thing in there.
Yep, yep.
On the 16th, that Saturday, we had talked at one time about conference track meet and graduation. If for some reason something were to happen and graduation needed to be moved to a Sunday, we could do an addendum to that calendar early on, correct?
We could if it was early enough. Obviously, yeah, we want to make, yeah.
I mean, early, I'd have to talk to Mr. Ganitz because he sets those and checks with other. I don't think it's in stone yet, but if he came to the board in the summer, so those parents that have an upcoming graduate, they know well in advance. Nothing we change a month before graduation by any means.
No, and just everything is kind of blocked in there too. The 23rd, there's the track meet, and I think,
Initially thought that.
Okay,
And
so
then
we could be good.
looked
I think we're okay.
After Labor Day.
Yeah, more than that.
Change it right now, though, so I got it.
So are you ready to approve it then?
Yeah.
Need a motion and a second to approve the 2019-2020 school calendar.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.2, pre-K driver's education fund transfer.
This is a fun one. So, when we had our audit this year, at the end of our audit, it was brought up to us by the auditor that we could get rid of the pre-K fund and just leave it as driver's ed fund because we didn't charge tuition anymore. I guess I was in the room, Jerry was in the room, and Mr. Lepke was, and I guess I kind of thought it was a suggestion, not a requirement. So I wasn't worried about it this school year, thought we could end it out at the end of the school year. Visiting with him last week, because I had some other questions on the upcoming budget, he recommended or said that we had to get rid of it because we didn't charge tuition. So last month, we transferred money into the fund to supplement it, and this month, we're going to transfer it all out into the general fund. So that amount that I got from the auditor is $51,968. So now that fund will only be driver's ed fund. And the preschool will come out of the general. Is there any questions on that?
Need a motion we put on this. Need
Yeah.
a motion and a second.
It would be to, sorry,
Go ahead.
to transfer $51,968 from the preschool driver's ed fund into the general fund, to close the pre-K fund, and rename said fund to the driver's ed fund.
Motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.3, preliminary budget discussion.
On it. I'll wait if anyone else is leaving.
It's not because you're.
They're missing the best part.
It's orange. 0.5% is what they said. What that means to us is about $192,000 more in the general fund. Of this 192, approximately 73,000 of that actually comes from the state increase, and the rest of it comes from our 20-ish student increase this year. So we have about the same amount of money in the general fund as we did last year, and we should comply with the general fund cap easily. Once all negotiated agreements are passed tonight, I'll start plugging in more accurate numbers so we know exactly where we're at in the fund. Also with this building project, there's gonna be some extra expenses for rents and storage and that kind of thing. And we're just figuring out all those numbers right now also. So that's about it for the general fund. It'll be a work in progress over the next couple months. The special ed fund, similar also to what we had in there last year. We're adding some special ed paraprofessionals, so that will be a little bit of an increase. There is a chance one of our larger increases in the special ed fund we won't have next year, but we aren't sure on that yet either. It's still early. Have more of an update on that in the months going forward. Food service fund remains as stable as it has in other years. We'll have a slight increase for the food service company. They can increase their rates by the CPI every year, and we're waiting, that will come out in June, middle of June, so. But very similar to last year, I don't see any drastic changes. We'll still transfer the same amount from general fund for food service to cover the, what we can't by charging lunch fees. Driver's ed fund, which is as it is, we usually take in about the same amount of money in tuition as we give out in wages, so that's basically a wash in that fund. The capital outlay fund, we met last week, I believe it was, with the budget and bills this year with 30,000 in a set aside for technology, and then we need to discuss what we're gonna put in that building fund. Even that number changed a little bit today as we talked about buying some storage units to add to this. Oh, actually. So, I don't know if do we want to go through this entire budget line item? I guess I can, in technology, I'll just go through and give some highlights. The big items in the technology this year are the phone system that we will need next year to operate. Ours is out of date. Some laptops for the colonies and teachers, not a big expense this year. Rewiring to get all the networking and basically networking and rewiring for the.
From the gym to the west,
So So it would be for the new building, but it's also to operate next year in the community center. So we'll wanna get that done this summer. A lot of instructional software that is normally in there. There's not a whole lot. Any other big, but also changing daily, so that's probably not a final. A weight rack for the fitness room, ticket booth, the football field lease, which will be approved later in the meeting. For the building, we have the new gym lease, that is the same amount in there. Right now, it's a placeholder, we haven't had the conversation with the Development Corporation about what that new number will be yet. I'm guessing within the next month or so, that will be figured out for sure. The community center lease with the city of Falkton, that's a big item in there. Also put in a new roof for the gym this year. After all the snow and rain, we had quite the issues with the gym roof and leaking. Need to get that replaced, possibly gutters. The shop roof, it was asked to get a quote on that, what that would take, and that's in there. And then also moving some propane lines and a vaporizer. Those are some big ticket items in there. Other than that, we have our social studies curriculum that's up for renewal this year, and also some math textbooks that will be an every year charge. Library books, there's always a placeholder in that for each year, and then our copy lease, accounting software, and board doc software is in there, and the lunch program. Our busing service is in there for transportation, and then also pickup to replace the one Jeanette has. And the cap goes on capital outlay next year, so we'll be capped at $2,800 a kid. So some of these items, such as the pickup, that normally hadn't crossed our mind, we kind of discussed it the other day, it might be the year to do that before the cap goes on.
We also talked to Jeremy because our laptops for the high school kids are up for getting refurbished and redone, and we didn't really want to have that big budget item and a pickup and other big items on there with the cap coming on, so we thought if we could fit it in this year, we would.
Any questions on any of those items before you discuss the surplus line item? Within the next month or two, we will be discussing those in detail so we can get an accurate number in there.
So you wanna discuss the building, how much is put in the building set aside fund?
You guys want to
Oh.
discuss that.
I guess I mentioned to you earlier, or Lisa, that I guess I'm just for maybe doing what we've been doing. I guess the money that we paid HKG, is that reflective out of that $440,000? That's probably.
Well, this is for next year. You're talking about what we paid them already?
Yeah, I mean, we don't, that's probably not that much right now, I suppose. When the bonds are released, does that fund get reimbursed then?
Right. So right now, we're a little low in capital outlay, and we have about 300 and some thousand that needs to be paid back to the capital outlay fund. But that's not any reflection on this budget that I've given you. This is for just our expenses.
For that a while too? I mean, before it's
We
kind of finalized? I mean,
we can
decide.
talk about it every
Because
month.
we might know down the road more where we're.
If something else might show up.
Something might
Right.
come out,
Yeah.
just to make sure.
Because we had some conversation at the budget and bills meeting about keeping the levy the same as it was last year, which would put a little more than the 150 in there to cover any unknowns that may come up in this process, but that's entirely your guys' decision, and yeah, you don't have to make a decision tonight, just as this keeps going forward to get more of an idea. Would like more of an idea before I publish it in July.
I'm fine with, 150 for now and see what, the next month brings.
starting spot, I guess, and see how things progress forward.
We'll move on to 6.4, approve community center lease with the city of Flockton for the 2019-20 school year.
Okay, so in your board pack, you'll see the actual agreement that was signed by the city at a meeting last week from tonight. And in there you will see what they are asking. We're gonna lease it from June 1st until June 1st of 2020, and then we can renew it on a month-to-month basis until October of 2020. And hopefully, if the weather cooperates, we will not need it anywhere near that long, but if we do, it's written in there that we would be able to continue to rent it from the city at a rate of $1,250 per month. The city right now makes a payment to the Economic Development Corporation, and they're asking that we take over that payment, and then we would be able to use that facility. Right now, the plan would be to have several high school classrooms, 6 of them, out in the community center. And so we need that area, and we need a lot of it. We will also pay for the electricity and the gas, the water and the sewer. Obviously, we will be using that on a day-to-day basis, and so there will be some strain on that as well. They have already rented the community center for a couple of big events, and so those are going to remain in place. Let's see what else. Their custodian that they have will continue to work with Jeanette. Obviously with our increased presence, there will be plenty for that person to do. We plan on doing an inspection prior to the start of our rental. Today when I was in there for the kindergarten program, I noticed there's a hole in the wall. One of the doors was opened all the way, and there's a perfect little print of a door handle through the sheetrock. So things like that will be listed and written down so that we're not held responsible for that. So we'll do an inspection prior to the start of the rental, and then when the rental is over, we'll go back through, and then obviously if there's any damage, we'll be responsible for fixing that damage. And really that's about it. So I'm asking that the school board approve the community center rental agreement from the city of Faulkner.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.5, approve football field lease agreement with the city of Faulkner.
Okay, the next one, we lease or rent the football field, baseball field. This agreement basically is the same that it's always been, with the exception of a couple areas, and I'm gonna point those out. You will see that the total amount has increased to $3,500 per year. And just to let everybody know, the reason that it has gone up is because the city has realized about a 30 to 31% increase in the city water rates. And so it's gonna cost more to have water out there, so they're passing that increase on to us, which is only fair. And then we will also have to, after games are over, take care of our own garbage, and we'll be asked to clean the bathrooms, which I also think is fair. If we're gonna have events there, we should clean up after ourselves. And so those are the only things that are different in that agreement. And so, again, the increase is due to the water rates, and so I'm asking the board to approve the football field agreement with the city of Faulkner.
Need a motion and a second to approve the football lease.
I'll make the motion to approve the lease.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.6, approved contract for providing school health services.
The next one, since we do not have a school nurse on site, we contract for our nursing services through the South Dakota Department of Health and through the county health nurse. Again, the only thing, this is the same standard contract that we've approved in the past. In the past, we've had as many as 90 hours on the contract, but when the new county health nurse kind of looked at the actual hours that were being spent, We actually only spent about 41 hours, or used 41 hours of the 90 that we had booked on the contract. And so she's proposing that we go down by half to 45. We will still be receiving the same services that we received this year, so nothing will change. Some of the services we do here at school, and again, nothing has changed. So basically on the contract, the things change is the amount and the total number of hours. So I'm asking that you approve the contract for providing schoolhouse services as presented.
Need a motion and a second to approve the contract for health services.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.7, South Dakota High School Athletic Association Large Group Board of Education representative.
The next 4 items are all related, so I'm just gonna kind of talk about them, and if you guys, Lisa has one motion ready for all of them. What these are is the South Dakota High School Activity Association, which Mr. Cassens is there's a West River at-large representative, there's a Native American at-large representative, and then there's amendment. And so I will talk about, if Jerry, if it's okay with you to talk about all of them at the same time. The large group one, there are 2 people running, and when we do this, I talk to Mr. Cassens and I also talk to Mr. Gaditz. The 2 individuals that are running, Randy Hartman from Pierre and Mark Murphy from Aberdeen. I do not know Randy, but I know Mark Murphy very well. He's been there for a very long time, and I think he would do a good job. So Shane has recommended we vote for Mark Murphy for the large school group Board of Education representative. And so Shane has recommended that we vote for Dan Aker from Winter. Winter's East River, and obviously a lot closer to our size of a school than the gentleman from Rapid City Central. And so we recommend that one. The Native American at-large representative, there's only one to choose from, so we're asking that you cast your ballot for Barry Mann from Waukepa to serve in that capacity. And then the amendment, which is the next item on the agenda, we're recommending between Shane and I that we cast a yes vote. And what this is, just so everybody knows, this deals with, I believe it's a sport of football, and it deals with a student or a coach ejection from a game. And so what's happening right now is,
You want me to speak on this?
yes, Shane told me, I've got it here in front of me, you go ahead, because you hear it all the time, so go ahead.
When you get called for a specific violation, like a helmet-to-helmet, that's a judgment call by the officials.
Illegal personal contact.
Illegal personal contact, the current rule states that you are kicked out for that game and all of the next game. In an 8-game schedule, that becomes very punitive. So at our April meeting, the discussion was to change that. If it happens in the first half, and if I misspeak, correct me, I do this from memory, you would be, you would lose the rest of that game, but be eligible the following game. And if it happens in the second half of that game, you lose that game plus the first half of the next scheduled contest.
Yep, so if you get kicked out in the first half of the game, you sit out the rest of that game. If you get kicked out in the 4th quarter, you sit out the rest of that quarter, and then the first half of the following game is what was had to be so punitive. So in talking to Coach Gaditz and talking to Craig, we're recommending a yes vote, which would change that so that that is what would happen. First half would be the rest of the game, second half would be the rest of the game, and then the first half of the next game. So we're recommending a yes vote on that one. And that takes care of 4 items on the agenda. So now, Lisa, you have to tell them what the motion has to read because it's going to be confusing.
It's not confusing
Okay.
at all. So the motion would be to vote the following ways on the South Dakota School Activities Association election ballots. Mark Murphy from Aberdeen Central High School for large school group representative. Dan Aker from Winter High School for the West River at-large representative. Barry Mann from Waukepa High School for Native American at-large representative. And a yes vote on amendment number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.11.
Okay, in your packet, you will see, tonight we're approving 2 resignations. The first letter that you'll have in your packet is from Kim Holt, who is a paraprofessional out at Thunderbird Colony. She's the one that we were alluding to. She works a little bit at Blumengard as well. And she's done that, she's been in the teaching for 30 plus years. And so she's resigning positions, and we will rehire Jacqueline's position and advertise for it as well.
So you want to read that motion?
We can do this 1 and 2. Approve the resignation from Kim Holt from the position of special ed paraprofessional at the end of the school year.
Motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Second one is to approve the resignation from Jacqueline Mose from the position of special ed paraprofessional at the end of the school year.
Motion and a second.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.15, approved school psychologist agreement.
Okay, in front of you, you'll see a contract to approve, working with a gentleman that we've worked with before as our school psychologist. It's Dr. Ted Williams. And we've worked with him a lot before. You will see a schedule of his pricing, and that has not changed. And really, nothing is any different in this contract coming school year.
Motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7.1, superintendent report.
Okay, I'm gonna go quick through this. I've got 5 items is all on there. Our board docs, just so everybody knows, if you've noticed, they've added some red to their logo. They have been purchased by another company. Our service will not change. And so some different things may look different, but it's the same product, same service. Also in your packet, there's a letter in there from the Associated School Boards of South Dakota. I don't know if that purchase of another company has caused the Associated School Boards to no longer sponsor them, or they kind of were the ones that got us onto board docs. But they are going to work with a different company out of Nebraska now. And at this time, I'm going to recommend that we stay with board docs because we're all getting used to it, and I really like it. Like tonight when we kind of got a special deal by going through the Associated School Boards. But we're tied into a contract with them, I think, for another year before anything would happen. So we'll just wait and see how that goes. So board docs, I mean, if the board's okay with it, we're going to keep them and keep moving. Scored very well on that test again. And so we will be sending some results home with parents here at the end of the school year. We've made some choices as far as what companies we're going to go with. We've placed orders for new textbooks, so social studies will have a new curriculum and new textbooks for next school year. And we went with one company primarily for elementary and a different company for the middle school and high school kids. So that's all done and ordered. Accreditation review on the 30th of April, Mr. Cassens and myself had a phone conference with 2 ladies from the South Dakota Department of Education. We have 7,000 documents I had to upload onto their website for them to review prior to the call. Overall things I thought, and Craig, if he wants to chime in, he can, went very, very well. We have just a few areas to follow up on. And if they have any areas of concern, we'll be given 3 to 4 months to actually correct some of those things, but I don't foresee anything being major that we would have to go through that motion. So everything went really well, and hopefully by the time the school year starts, we will get word that we're fully accredited, which I do not think will be a problem at all. And the last thing, just to give the board kind of a heads up, I was asked to drive ambulance here in Falk County. I've had the pleasure of being on call twice already this month, and thank goodness I didn't have to jump in the ambulance and drive anywhere. So I am on the Falk County ambulance crew, and right now I've been doing mostly weekends and holidays, and I don't intend for it to disrupt my school schedule. Unless obviously a huge emergency and they would need somebody to drive a second ambulance, I might just jump and do that, but I don't anticipate that it would interfere with my school schedule, so I just want the board to be aware of that. And that's it, that's my report. Any questions?
Okay, we'll move on to 8.1, secondary principals report.
Jerry, I have nothing for you.
9.1, building project update.
Okay, I'm gonna go through just a few things, nothing major, but I just wanna kind of give everybody a little rundown of kind of where we're at. Last week, Wednesday or Thursday? Is it Wednesday? Wednesday, and we sat down at the table and we went through drawings, a really thick packet, which, by the way, if anybody wants to see, I've got all the designs in my office. We went through everything page by page, asked questions, made sure that anything that was changed correctly, or that it did get changed. So right now, all the plans have been submitted to Kybers. Kybers is currently reviewing them. Today I got an email from Kybers with about 8 different pages of things that HKG needs to address before things get finalized with Kybers. And so HKG is working on that. And Kybers is working on getting all that back so that they can have 100% plans to get everything ready for bidding. Here at school, obviously, we're working to get those taken out before the building goes down to hopefully either be used for a sign. And I know that the Historical Society would like some of those things as well. And obviously we're working on the logistics of our student relocation for the upcoming year and working very closely with Craig and everybody here with Jeanette and Jeremy and things like that. So just to kind of give you an idea, and I didn't have some of the things that Lisa had in here, we're going to start spending some money here, and we already have on HKG. We've spent several hundreds of thousands of dollars on them for their services. We're currently a month, and so we're renting as part of the project some temporary trailers and office spaces. And we need a place to put those, and so Kybers has come up with the idea that we're going to place those on the tennis courts. And so Hanson's is going to be removing the fencing and the nets for the tennis courts, and doing that so that we can put our temporary offices on there. I've been working with local contractor on storage containers. I've been in contact with the county, with Connie. They've obviously had to rent some things, and they purchased some storage because they're building a new company. A lot of those storage areas will be used for other things. So what I'm asking, or just letting the board know, is that I've talked to Jeanette a lot, and I know that we have a lot of records and things that have to get stored. What I would like to do is I'd like to actually purchase 2 40-foot brand new storage containers that have not been out to sea. They're obviously they got fresh coat, they've got new gaskets, they've got new hinges, and they are airtight, rodent tight, watertight. I'd like to purchase those. The price of those would be about $6,100 each, and that's the delivered price dropped where we need them. And then we will be renting 2 storage containers, again from local people, 2 20-footers for $60 a month each. So the rent will cost us another $1,440. But we will be able to keep those storage containers very, very full, even after our building's built, but certainly throughout the course of next school year with not having access to a lot of our areas that we currently have. Other things that we have to do, we're removing the big diesel tank that's out back behind the current mechanical room. That will be done courtesy of the state of South Dakota. And I think the plan is to use Hanson's to take ours out, and they're also going to take 1 or 2 out over at the county shop within the same time period. And that will happen once school's out. We will also have to relocate our propane tanks. And because where we're gonna locate them, it'll have to travel a distance to get to the mechanical room. We are in need of a new vaporizer, which is about a $12,000 unit to be put with those propane tanks. We're looking at, by the time we relocate and we get them put up off the ground, all trenched in, the electrical and the propane, Lisa has in the budget $25,000 for that relocation. And then obviously to get everything out of the current middle school, high school building, we're looking at hiring a moving company to do this of the community center, the changes in our networking that has to be changed to keep us up and running, and then the phone system. That's on Kyber's schedule, so that's my update. Any questions from anybody?
That you guys don't want us to move forward with right now. A lot of the equipment, uniforms, curriculum, needs to start being ordered. The wiring, the rewiring to get the community center hooked up needs to start being done. None of this will be paid until July 1st, but we have to get it set up and ready to go. Anything in there, I don't plan on doing anything, making any decisions until this is done about the gym roof, or the shop. We can discuss that at a different date, but.
So Lisa, you're primarily talking about things that are time sensitive, like you said, those uniforms and textbooks.
Right. Curriculum and any technology that we need to get ordered in order to function next year.
Anybody got any comment? Thanks.
All those old pictures, graduating pictures that are hanging, senior pictures that are hanging in the hallway, what are you gonna do with them?
Garbage can. Kidding. We actually have a plan where we're gonna preserve them, and actually those original ones, we might actually give away to people that want them. But our plan is we're gonna have a local photographer, a really good one, take pictures of the composites, and then we're gonna buy, if you've been to some schools, Gettysburg, they have a big, and you walk in their commons, they have a big thing that you turn. So we're gonna take pictures of those, and we're gonna fit all of those into one big display, so they will be in our new commons, so everybody can look at them and see them.
Like the ones that are.
With all these things that we're having, any trophies, past trophies, or those composites, we are going to put them in storage for right now. We're on a time crunch, and we do not have time to hold